We are back. Hey, y'all. Welcome back to my channel, Watch Your Mouth Reviews. This is your boy, James. I am here to give you my honest review while trying to watch my mouth. Definitely not going to happen. So, yes, joining me, as always, my co-host, my BFF in the whole wide world, Mrs. Best, a.k.a. my girl, Anita.
Good
Yes.
morning.
Yes, you guys, welcome. So, some of y'all may have read this title. It's all exactly what it's about to be. Love and Marriage Detroit, Season 3, Episode 3. We are done. Last recap and review. I am here to announce that on my channel, the Watch Your Mouth Reviews channel, I will no longer be reviewing Love and Marriage Detroit. And I have a plethora of reasons of why I will be reviewing the show anymore. I am done.
Are you still gonna watch it?
No, I am
Oh,
done.
they done fucked up.
I am done because I do not like when people, especially black men, want to be victims of their very own circumstances when you create these very, very difficult scenarios in your own life. And when the things do not work out, you want to put the blame on your women, that the women that you marry and are supposed to provide for.
That had your big headed ass children.
Absolutely. Y'all want to get on this TV show, act a fucking fool, and then want to put blame on these women. And you women sit up here and let these men get away with these shit. This is the time where y'all needed to show y'all asses. Because there's no way in hell, Christina, that I would have sat there and cried. When I tell you I would have caused a wreck and that I probably would have went to jail that night. I know I would have. I would have went to jail. Because there's no way that these three grown ass men are going to sit here and tell me that I'm insecure, that it is my fault that he can't advance in his career, and that my friend who is seeing the shit clearly is being demeaned and disrespected as a woman. There's no way I'm watching the show anymore. I was done. I didn't even finish watching the whole entire episode. I was done on that one scene
Honestly, I
alone.
didn't wanna. It took me and JoJo, that is my husband for those who don't know, but it took me and JoJo like 2.5 days to watch one episode. We were done. So I'm just like, I get where you're coming from with that. It's
That scene was so hard for me to watch. I'm thinking because I'm familiar with Detroit people. Like I really am. I have a few friends that are from Detroit. I have, you know, family members who have friends that are from Detroit, and I have not ever experienced any of this in my life. Because let me explain something to the Anthony big head ass airhead ass dudes out there who think that how he live is okay. Because I read y'all comments on Instagram and I saw that shit. Y'all ought to be ashamed of yourselves. Where I came from, my grandfather, let me tell you the example that my mother had. My grandfather cooked, cleaned, went to work, had all of us grandchildren at one time, took us fishing, had us everywhere he went, we went. My grandfather gave me my first job,
mm,
literally. That is the example I had where a man was a man and he did all this, getting the consent of my grandmother, getting the consent of my mother to do all of these things. So when I see a man blame a woman and try to say she is stopping him from advancing, there's two couples that are doing this, Anthony and Brandon, are putting both blame when all you had to do was open your fucking mouths and tell them what you are doing. Oh, I'm not excluding other big head as whoever whatever his name was, Kobe and Russ. I'm not excluding him out of this. I'm gonna get to him in a minute because what he did was some more manipulative ass shit. And Kobe, you better open your fucking eyes. But what I'm saying is this: I am disgusted with seeing black men do this to black women, and then they wonder why black women become angry. And black women, stop letting black men make y'all angry. Take note, go to therapy, make sure you correct what attracted this energy to you, and then try again. Because this was crazy to me watching this episode.
yeah, yeah, I agree.
Like, it was crazy to me to see this man demean this woman in front of all these people. And then when they were walking home, say, "Do you even want to be married to me anymore?" It was like,
Well, he said he felt shackled. So, anybody who describes being married or in a relationship, hell, working a job as being shackled, then you shouldn't be in it. I think for me, the thing with this show, I'll probably still watch it just to see what happens. And then after season one, I'm probably not going to watch it. However, I feel like the thing that did this show in to make people not, well, people like us, I'm sure they have people watching it, but to turn me off, and this is love and marriage in general. You come on these shows, you advertise it as Black people in this city are doing this great thing and Black love. And then you pick couples intentionally with like the worst relationships and examples and demonstrations of that love. Separate from Black love, these are just bad examples of
In
relationships.
general.
Like, do not try, because I know a lot of people end up in toxic situations, but just because a lot of people end up in those situations doesn't mean they are not preventable or that it's okay. You get married after 6 months, your man cheats, you still decide to have a baby with him and do all this stuff. I got a lot, specifically from Christina and Brandon, that turned me off the show. Y'all would argue when you were with your group of friends about shit, and then she would act like she's cool in one moment, bringing up like the last episode with the shit with Brandon being in the club. It's like, obviously he was in the club. You can hear that on the phone. There's also people who said that. It's like, where did you think these men were? Then you act as if you didn't know he was in the club. So you crying on TV about your pain and the shit you went through in your relationship, but you're not in so much pain that you're not going to use that to profit. That's weird to me. I don't really have much to say on any of them.
I don't have much to say either. I just don't want people to feel like because miscommunication is all that these couples are going through. And it's like, no, it is disrespect. It is demeaning. It is literally 1950s version of reality TV.
I think Russell's the worst one though,
No,
because
yeah, that's why I saved him for last.
and I
Because a
just
lot of people think that he's the most tolerable, but no.
no, because they
That is
see pastor, the love of God, the love of Jesus Christ. That don't make you a good person.
no, and that's why I saved Russell for last, because what Russell did was some old, I'm gonna go to your daddy because I know he could talk you down and let me do what I want to do. I want to become this prayer chaplain. But what people don't understand is because everyone on social media is saying, well, what's the big deal? And I'm saying, y'all don't understand. People who are not preachers' kids, y'all do not understand like the detriment that that has and the traumatization, which is why you see a lot of pastor kids acting crazy, getting drunk at parties, and doing all this crazy stuff. You don't understand.
Look, go watch Grown in Gospel on WeTV for those
Right.
who don't understand like the big deal, because I can understand how they don't see that. If you're a person who attends church or views yourself as spiritual, you go to church, you see your pastor. Your pastor usually has a wife, a family, the co-pastors, bishops, all of that have their stuff together. But then that's not realistic, and that's just a shallow surface site. You don't know what actually goes on in the
Yes.
relationship of pastors. You don't know what they're putting their families through. I say go watch Greenleaf or Grown in Gospel, because those are both examples of things that can go
Yes.
the F wrong. Just because someone goes, first of all, don't give this man grace just because he wants to go and speak the word of God, because we are not supposed to praise our pastors. We are not supposed to worship or do extra things or make sacrifices for our pastors, religious leaders, or those who pray over us. We are supposed to do those things to the Lord. I just, I can't. I
It
feel
made
like
me mad
Russell's the first
watching.
one out of all of them, because how are you going to call yourself a pastor who's supposed to teach other people to walk with the Lord? Don't judge others. Treat others the way you want to be respected. It's not just all about praying every Sunday at 11 a.m. Like, you're supposed to teach others these things. Don't judge. Leave that up for the band upstairs on Judgment Day, from the man who can't even film a scene anywhere where liquor is. Like,
Yeah.
stop.
But the main point of this, because I said I didn't finish this episode, so I don't know what happened after the parents sit down. That's when I had enough. when it was the parents sit down, because when her father said maybe he didn't know how to tell you because of how you react, it was like, so that makes it okay for him just to go ahead and do it without my say so. That makes it okay. And for that mom to sit there and like, well, you can't, when a God calls, you just have to respond like no matter what. It's like, no.
That's not the case. And
If
God
he's
actually,
single,
that was
absolutely.
irresponsible and pissed me off. It
Yes.
pissed me off because it literally says in the Bible that when you become married, you leave and cleave and you become one, and that nothing else matters over that. Outside of, yes, God, you should pray together with your spouse, you should acknowledge him. But it doesn't say that if your spouse chooses to become a pastor at a church, which is a transactional place, I don't care how people feel about it, but they ask you for that collection plate, they show you the building fund on the damn, however they show it. Church is transactional. Okay. So you telling people all of these things and you want to go basically make money off of the word of God. And that's what I get that's happening. I just feel like Russell and Colby's storyline was going to be stuck in this section. And I feel that way because her dad laughed when she's like, oh, he needs to include me in decision. He just does what he wants. Her
That
dad
pissed me
was
off too.
chuckling.
That pissed me off too, because it was like, okay, just because mama over there wanted to be mute and not say anything about what you do and what you decide to do in your career path does not mean in my household that I just have to sit there and just accept the fact that my husband decided he wanted to become a pastor, enroll himself into divinity school, and not say anything until he was 3 and 4 weeks into the school.
I think when you have a child and your spouse is more concerned about things that are not your child, like if I had a kid right now, like you don't even have to be concerned with me, but what about our fucking kid?
Right. Because
You don't care. What this woman is saying is that she was impacted in childhood because of what she had to go through as a PK. So it's not even about talking to the dad and all of, first of all, y'all grown motherfuckers need to stop involving your parents in your relationships. Number one. I look, I love my dad. I can talk to my dad about anything. We have a great relationship, but I don't talk to him about my relationship, especially if I want him to have a good relationship with my spouse. When Josiah is talking to my father, they are not talking to each other about me, at least not to my knowledge. Shit, don't start either, y'all. But I'm just saying, like, they're not doing that. Like, we just get together, talk about fun, play space. So, including your parents in the relationship, grow the hell up.
right.
Hell up. You can't put
That's what I'm
outside
saying.
parties
Like
in a relationship. And people, especially Black people, love to have a mama's opinion, auntie's opinion, their friend's opinion. All these people, like, your relationship should be based on your opinion, what you want, your choices, without the influence of other people. I know that's
exactly.
difficult, but you know, Colby, you crying about this shit, but at the same time, you want him to have a close relationship with your dad. So I was kind of done with their whole.
Yeah, I was done because it was like, this is the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Because the fact that he felt to go to your dad first before he came to you, there would have been no ounce of forgiveness that I would have in that moment. Daddy, you got to go.
Yeah,
Because
he's
see, the problem
manipulative.
is that is manipulation. That is telling me that if something were to happen that was serious, he would go to you first before he would come to me, and we're in the house together.
Yeah.
Like that does not make sense to me. That's life changing, y'all. And and I know a lot of people are like, that's not a big deal. This is life changing because he has to put in time, and whatever job he has, money has to be taken away so that way he could fulfill this call. So, and y'all understand, he said a prayer chaplains don't get paid. So that takes away. She has to think about, okay, financially, can we afford for you to be gone for 4 to 6 months in school? Like, can we afford
when
that?
you have kids, your concern should be your kids.
Yes,
They have a
the concern should
small
be your
kid.
kids.
Like,
Yeah,
God made possible for your child to be here and healthy and made a way. And I thank God for all of my blessings daily. I do. But at the same time, God wants you to be a good parent to your kids. God wants you to be a good husband to your wife, a good wife to your husband, vice versa. So Colby and Russell, I get the feeling they're just going to end up staying together and she's going to eventually submit. So I was uninterested in the storyline.
you took the words right out of my mouth because I was just about to say that. I feel like as much as we are getting upset, I feel like Colby is going to stick this out and become first lady of
What
the
they
church.
say in the meme, she gonna stick beside him.
She's gonna stick beside him, like Dr. Minnie Mouse over there. She's gonna
Yeah.
stick beside him, even though when a push comes to shove, Anthony is going to do whatever Anthony wants to do, and then he's gonna cry wolf when it doesn't go the success route that it was supposed to go, because it doesn't, like, for me, when I was listening to him cry, I didn't watch that scene, but I watched a little snippet. But I was listening to him cry, tell you about nobody ever supports me. Like, your parents didn't support me. None of this. Like, it was like, you still did what you wanted to do, is the point.
And you're a grown ass man.
And you a grown man. What
Why do
support
her
do you
parents need to support you?
Yeah. Like,
and
what?
why would her parents support her husband leaving her, who has a real career, alone with kids? There's a lot I wanted to say about Anthony and
please
Dr.
get it off your chest,
Latoya.
because
it bothered me. I think everyone focused on Brandon and Katrina. Katrina, who the hell is Katrina? Christina. And it's like, okay, yeah, they have their problems, but we know that relationship is a joke and it probably won't last. Just keeping it real. Russell and Colby, we know that relationship
is also a joke. Yes,
but
a joke, but it's going to sustain because,
at least they got God on their side.
Because not only they got God, but then they have the quintessential judging mother and father people of the choir, the church, that's going to be inserting themselves in it too, because he got them involved. So we know that that's going to be what it is.
Yep.
But then we have this Dr. Minnie Mouse and Anthony big head ass.
And my problem with Dr. Latoya is, okay, so we see in this episode from the previous episode that something happened at Dr. Latoya's Opulence Wine event. When this happened, Dr. Latoya said nothing. She did not check her husband, not there, not after. She didn't really say shit. So I was like, okay, so she's useless in group settings. We've been determined that. She doesn't contribute anything in group settings. She just sits there and the camera.
With this pout in her look, and she's looking down with her eyes up like this. And I'm like, see, this is
what are you doing? You're a fucking doctor, bro. So this is like just weird behavior. So my thing with Dr. Latoya is they're discussing the same shit, the Atlanta issue. Anthony starts crying and stuff, and he's doing this stuff as they're trying to just like have to, no one checks on me. You're no disrespect. I hate to do the gender role thing, but it's like, you're a grown ass man. You're a grown ass man with more than most grown ass men, especially Black men, have in terms of being able to make deals. You've got skills, you've got your company, your wife's a doctor, like you have more than most men. And you're sitting up here, nobody supported me. No. And I'm just like, you're really crying to her about this? You had to come back once a week. She had to practice being a doctor, dealing with the kids, and all this other stuff. So
and also these kids bullying their children.
That was what I was getting to next. Yeah. And I'm going to say this. This is what I mean by the dumbest people. It don't take much to have a baby. All you got to do is lay down and bend it over. For men, you just got to do a little forward motion. For women, you just got to back it up a little bit sometimes. You don't have to do much to have a kid. You don't have to have common sense or intelligence to have kids. And there's a lot of people. I remember I used to have a friend when we went to high school with. Gave her a job when I was a store manager somewhere. Swear to God, she decided to have her second child with a man that she had only known for like 30 to 60 days, right? Beautiful kid, all of that. Then when the relationship went wrong and all of that stuff, it was, oh, we didn't plan this child, because she realized how it looks. I'm like, y'all did plan this damn child. Anywho, long story short, had her kids, all this stuff. She literally said to me and my boss, who was a DM at the time, when they were talking to her about attendance, because her attendance was fucked up, as it was with most jobs. And she went, I'm a mother, so you guys got to, just because you're a mom or have kids does not afford you a special schedule, special rights, special anything. And a lot of people who have children feel that because they've done what billions of people have also done, that they are special, or that makes them smarter than the rest. It don't take much to have a baby. Hell, the doctor has to be there to guide you how to push the motherfucker out. So it don't take much sense. Dr. Latoya and Anthony are examples of people, and I say this all the time as a college student. A college degree, a doctorate does not give you or afford you common fucking sense. All it does is teach you specifics about your subject. And Dr. Latoya, how are you a doctor of sports medicine, which is hard? That's orthopedics and all sorts of shit in one specialty. You're a doctor of sports medicine, and you think first of all, them as parents, I don't even know how to attack it. Your kids are being racially attacked and bullied. Your kids are dealing with racism at school. Dr. Latoya is like, oh, I just wish you wouldn't go to Atlanta knowing that, because the kids, they need a man. They need their father to, I don't know how to deal with that. She literally said to Anthony in this episode, and I wrote it down, I don't have the capacity to help the kids with that. As a Black woman, how do you not have the capacity to help your kids understand or navigate racism? I just don't understand that. As a Black woman, a brown woman, someone of Asian culture, we all experience heavy amounts of racism. So how can you, I understand not knowing per se the correct answer, but how can you not do that without them? So what would you do if you were a single mom? They just have to sit in the school?
My problem is, why are they going to a predominantly
That's what I was
white
getting to
school
next.
in the first place? Why do y'all Black people do that? Why do y'all do that?
No, but it goes deeper. Why are you people? This is not for people living in the hood of East Oakland and Vallejo out here, or wherever the fuck, NOLA hoods, all of that. Why are you capable, financially fucking capable people not taking the time to research the schools you put your kids in? Because I guarantee if they would have researched that shit, they probably would have found out that the school struggles with bullying and or racial tensions and issues. In today's big world of technology, I'm for damn certain that they could have figured out that the kids are dealing with racism. And then if the kids are dealing with racism, and it's so hard for you to go back and forth and all of this to school and your husband was gone, why didn't you homeschool them during that time? My mom had to do that with us at one point. I had to do independent studies because we were moving so much. Like, there's so many options that they could do to remove their kids from this. But no, you have your kids sitting in the school dealing with fucking racism while you cry in front of a fucking camera about how you were hurt that he went to Atlanta. I just, Dr. Latoya and Anthony, to me,
Carlos, this sits on your plate, because out of all the couples in Detroit and out of all the people you know personally in Detroit, you mean to tell me this was the best you can come up with?
But then the other thing that's really, really, really bad is this bitch is on my TV screen crying about how she was mad that he left his family, but didn't make the option for the family to come to him, knowing the kids were dealing with racism. The racism was a reason to go with your husband and leave fucking Detroit. And that made me mad, because I was like, I wonder if Anthony like has said this off camera to her, because
I don't think,
no. Dealing with these issues.
I don't feel like he wanted them to go to Atlanta. I really don't feel like that. I feel like, no, I don't. And the reason why, because he would have did it. Anthony had the biggest ego on the entire show.
That's true.
You mean to tell me that if that was really an option, he would have taken it? Come on, like, let's not play them games. He didn't want those kids or her to go to Atlanta with him. That's just what it was, because he thought he could be. It would have been an easier, smooth for him to get that money and get gone.
So that's even worse. So basically, they both agreed to put their marriage and children's mental health and safety at risk,
right?
So that he can make a movie that nobody heard about. Talk about he worked with Marvel Studios on what? I'm a huge Marvel fan. I'd love to know. I would love to know.
Because let's keep it real, Anthony. We Googled your name and we can't find it on none of the roster of any Marvel movie.
And I go to see the Marvel movies that have dropped. If they drop, Amina and Josiah are in the theater to see. And all Marvel fans know, you don't just leave the theater. You sit your black ass through the credits and wait for the scene to know what there's another movie coming or a sequel. And we sit there. They make you read the credits to do that.
His name ain't nowhere to be found, probably. And that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm like, see, he's full of shit. That's what it is. You didn't want them to go to Atlanta with you, because you would have said, hey, we're going to Atlanta, get your stuff. We'll get a tutor to homeschool. There's like, so, and especially at that time, there were so many schools offering online services for full-time educations
It was
that it was,
COVID.
yeah, it
They
was
weren't in
mind-boggling.
school.
Yeah, it was mind-boggling to me that this is what it was. So either one of them is lying. Like I'm not trying to say that racism does not happen in predominantly white schools because it does. But what I'm saying is that one of them is lying about whatever the situation is because the story's not making sense. It didn't show it made it seem like in episode one that he just got up and left and didn't say like where he was going. That's
And
how
then
they
each
put it.
episode, we find out more and more.
More
And
and more. We
that
found
we
out in episode
find out,
2 that she did know and that he did ask her, and then she didn't give a proper answer. So he just took that as, okay,
and
well,
then
I'm
in
going to
episode
go.
3, we found out that he wasn't actually gone and that he came back every week.
Yes.
So here's the thing, and that was the same if you think back. That's the same issue I had mentioned earlier with Christina and Brandon, like with their story. You're telling us one thing one episode and then forgetting this was told and then doing another thing. Like Carlos King, I have a lot of faith in him as he's a producer, right? An executive producer, I believe, right?
He's a
I have a
producer
lot
creator.
of faith. I have a lot of faith in him. I enjoyed BET's The Encore, but that was another reality show of Carlos King's that he was solely responsible for. Hot mess. We were supposed to get this mega group or at least an album from a bunch of R&B legends. We couldn't get it because he was so focused on casting who he thought would get into it that we couldn't get the product. RHOA, the same thing. He was there. It was good. But then if you look to his time when he was on RHOA, there are moments and times we were like, okay, this is too much, and kind of made people like, to it. Love and Marriage, Huntsville. I'm over it. The fucking 25 episodes to a season of some of his shows. Like there's a lot that he does. It kind of reminds me of Tyler Perry, Mr. Carlos King, like so much producer, so much potential, very good producer. But there's a reason that teams are necessary. There's a reason the CEO, you don't see cashiering when you go to Macy's or Ross or somewhere like that. There's a reason that certain positions and people have their places and locations. I think that like Tyler Perry, how Tyler Perry didn't want to use the writers. I can't think of the name of it, but the people who edit what was written to help make it more interesting. I think Carlos King needs that. Because for me, James watches this, y'all. I'm newer to watching own reality TV, and I am not impressed so far.
There's the thing. I felt like he's so focused on making sure that the show is problematic for us to watch that he truly forgets that these are real black issues. These are real issues in households. Mm-hmm. And the fact that you couldn't have at least one couple on there that was likable that could balance this show out, that's what makes it even worse. Because for me, looking at this, none of the couples were likable. Only one person was likable, and that was Cole because she kept the shit real. And he has a tendency to do that. Love and Marriage DC. It was the same thing. None of those couples were likable, but he had a friend of the show that was actually willing to get the mess started and actually did a really good job at her job. So for me, and I'm just gonna be real with the people who watch this. Yes, I went off on these black men because I expect black men to have better representation when it comes to having black families. I expect them to not be this problematic. Like he could at least have one couple that may have had minor issues, but they didn't seem like they were misogynistic, chauvinistic issues.
That's the word, because it's not fair to put, I think especially with black men, they struggle and deal with more prejudices than others, especially women. You put them in a situation where even my husband is looking at like these men like, like, you know what I'm saying? And he don't really care too much for reality TV. Even he's looking like, what the fuck? Like Russell referring to his spouse Colby as a helpmate, for example. My husband made a good point. Yes, biblically, that's what a wife is, but the way that he's using the term was just like, I just want you to help me and sit back. Let me do stuff. You could just sit here and take care of the kids. Like,
yeah.
No.
It's arm candy. That's what I call that. That's arm candy. When you like, no, I just need to be married just for the look of it. I don't really need you to be here. I don't need you to make decisions. I don't need you to question what I do. I don't need you to, say I can't do something if I want to do it. Like that to me is what he says, which is why I think he's the worst of them all. Because at least with Anthony, he gonna say what he does, and he gonna do it regardless if Dr. Minnie Mouse over there is gonna speak up or not.
The
9 out
other
of
thing
10.
with Anthony, he did say to Brandon, like, you gotta uplift your wife. Like, you can't just so he's got that ego, but at the same time, I think he understands.
He understands that his wife is the breadwinner, and that's why he does that. Like, we're not gonna make that look like it's something else. I guarantee you, she makes more than he does.
Well, yeah, she's a doctor of sports medicine.
Yes,
And I
I'm
think that's the
positive.
reason they're not leaving Detroit. But honey, you're in Detroit. You can go do that shit. Go a couple states over to Minnesota or wherever the hell it is. Minnesota, they pay well, have a good.
Absolutely, she can go to Los Angeles. Really,
She could have went to Atlanta and made.
Yeah, it went to Atlanta. She can go to Atlanta, especially because they love seeing the young black hot doctor in the sports medicine. They love that out there. So absolutely,
California is right that she could have came here.
She could have came to California. I'm telling you, California, she would have did probably better in California because LA has 2 basketball teams.
Yep.
So
we also have, because she's sports medicine, we have the Dodgers, we have the Giants.
Yes.
We have for now the A's. They're going to Vegas. We got the 49ers. We've got the San Diego Chargers. We've got teams galore in California. So the fact that you want to stay in cold ass Detroit is just weird. Like, no disrespect. How you also, because since it's the last recap, like Carlos King, how the fuck are you going to make a show about your hometown, my ninja? Your hometown. And not show us shit about it, but how it was good and then failed. We've not seen anything really about Detroit. Like, for instance,
because he's fixated on this drama. It's the same thing with Love and Marriage Huntsville. He's so fixated on the drama that you take away from the bigger picture.
You did Love and Marriage this introduction about Detroit hollering through our screens on that first episode. Like, it's just little stuff like pay the right engineer to do your sound mixing.
No, it's not even that. It's like it's Love and Marriage. The premise of Love and Marriage was showing how couples, black entrepreneurs, yes, they may have their small issues, but in the midst of it, they get the jobs done. They're trying to give back to their communities. They're trying to build up their communities. This is the premise of what he said on each one of these franchises: Detroit, DC, and Huntsville. And yet he is so fixated on this drama, this very crazy, very like elusive drama that you can't even put the premise of why you created the show back on the problem. Which shout out to Melody and Martell Holt. They were the ones who brought this show to his attention. So overall, you just took it and then made it another version of Real Housewives of Atlanta. The same thing you're doing with Bell Collector. You're trying to make it another version of Real Housewives of Atlanta.
That's the key. I feel like all of his shows he's trying to make similar to the things that he did with Bravo TV. I also feel like he uses Bravo TV as a way to be relevant, like he did when bringing Monique Samuels on Love and Marriage DC. See how that went. I just, this is not, watching Carlos King shows do not make me want to watch OWN. And that is unfortunate. I've only given it a chance because I love my friend James. Honestly, I don't watch OWN. I watched Greenleaf, The Haves and the Have-Nots. And that's really all I've watched on OWN, aside from a Dr. Phil. Like,
but see, and that's the thing, because I love Love and Marriage Huntsville. The reason why I would never review it on my channel is because you Love and Marriage Huntsville fans are absolutely out of your minds. I cannot do y'all. I cannot stomach y'all because the defending of Martell Holt, Maurice, and Marceau Scott, I cannot handle that. I am sorry. Those three are terrible. And these 3 men are terrible. Yeah. And that is not the representation of black men that I want to see on my screen watching a black woman's network.
No disrespect, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful. It may be taken the wrong way, but like maybe Carlos needs to have a black man that actually kicks it with the type of black men that he is casting, or needs to find a different black man to cast these black men, because he obviously does not know what he's doing. I don't know.
Or he doesn't have discernment of people. That's just what I'm looking at. He doesn't have discernment of people, because I could see looking at these men, they're probably very presentable. They probably present themselves to him in such a well light, but when it translates on camera, it's a completely different thing. And if you spend time with people, you'll be able to see the things that they see through the cracks. Like you'll be able to see that stuff. Like I'm sure, as big-headed as Anthony is, I'm sure that the chauvinistic attitude would not have translated well on camera. Like I'm sure you would have saw that in one way or another, where you could have thought maybe I should not put this on my camera screen because this is going to get fans
He
riled up.
doesn't care if it translates well. He cares if it causes controversy, because right now controversy is what makes people want to watch stuff. It's just
Yeah, so if y'all watch my reality, if y'all watch this video and say, "Oh, I want to watch this because James went off," then fine. That's what y'all do. I don't really care. But my thing is this: I am not going to review this show anymore. I know a lot of other YouTubers have dropped it after the first episode. I hung in there for
really.
3. Yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah, a
Yeah, I
lot of
haven't seen any like
yeah. I just saw Color
viewers.
Me Pink. She just dropped it after episode 3. And I was like, okay, so I'm not the only one who feels this way. Like, so when I saw that she dropped it, I'm like, I'm dropping it too. Cause I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna do this. Because
Yeah.
it's like,
Especially if you don't know, we're gonna, and we didn't like Summer House, which I reviewed on the Mrs. Best Reviews channel. We did not like doing Bravo's Summer House Martha Vineyard. But we got through the season. So we don't have to like something to get through recapping it
absolutely,
for the
absolutely.
channel.
And I want to say, I'm not making this channel just to drop shows and pick them up and everything like
It's
that.
the first show
I'm
you
not saying it,
dropped.
yeah, I'm not gonna no, but I'm just saying I'm not doing this to pick up shows and drop them, but I'm not gonna sit here and have my intelligence played on over some horrible acting that these black men want to portray on these camera. I'm not gonna do that.
I
Like
think
the
the other thing that my spouse brought up too is he's like, because I'm always after watching Detroit, I'm like, babe, I just need a blunt. And he'd be looking, he's like, yeah, I was listening. That shit is draining. Like it like
it's
watching
crazy.
these people is like actually draining for me. So I'm looking forward to it. I may do like, I guess, shorts, like a 60-second and under recap or something.
I ain't
But
doing that. I ain't wasting my time with this show.
that's if I have
I'm
time.
done. So, guys, so I'm gonna end it here. This was longer than I wanted it to be, but I really wanted to show that I don't like misrepresentation. I can't even say the word because I'm so upset. Like I don't like
He
misrepresenting black
doesn't
men.
like when African American people and or couples are misrepresented when in public media, television, radio, all of that. And as an African American person, I think all people respect you for that. Because these people do not represent, they don't represent love and marriage in a way that is going to seem productive.
Well, they just feed into the stereotype that like unless it's toxic, that's the only way black people are going to stay together. And no, that is not true
No, I've
whatsoever.
done marriage counseling with my husband. I have done individual counseling. I have done and talked to him about things and tried like little exercises online with each other. Like, I think Black love is something beautiful. Some people have enough sense to value it. It does exist and it is hope. I think putting shows like this are so dangerous on TV too, because
It
there's too
is.
many baby mamas and baby daddies out there. We need to get back into the idea of making smart decisions relating to having children. And that does not mean you have to go and get married and have a man with you and all of this stuff. It does not mean that. It means that when you're having children, you should be smart about how you're doing it, which none of these couples were. It means you should wait to know the person you're having kids with, unless you're going to a sperm donor or bank and doing it yourself. And it means that when you go on a reality television show, specifically about love and marriage, that you can show and discuss that without talking about the worst parts of your past, because every marriage, every relationship has its fucking problems, but that's not healthy. And I wish reality TV would do better at that, to just be discussing them for everybody else to see and judge with no type of professional there or goal of improvement.
And
Girls, take your
I want
responsibility
people,
for
especially producers, to be mindful about putting this kind of content out there for the world to look at this and think, oh my God, they have, because I'm telling you, 7 out of the 10 children or 7 out of 10 people that are watching this think that because they have money and they have access, that their behavior is okay. Or it is okay to act that way because I'm seeing Anthony over there in this big old house driving, Maseratis and Range Rovers, that, oh my God, I could be an asshole to this woman and she and all this. And we're looking at Colby and their big old house and Russell oh, I don't have to tell her things because Russell over there doing it and then she's still with him. Like, I don't want people to think that these behaviors are okay
They're not.
because TV is saying it is. And that's the thing. That's why I chose to drop this show because none of this is okay. I get this is for entertainment, but the problem as being someone who reviews this and gives my opinion, I don't have this in my life. I am not familiar with this kind of behavior. I didn't grow up where my grandfather did not tell my grandmother certain things, or my dad didn't tell my stepmom certain things. Like, I didn't grow up with that kind of environment where they can make life changing decisions and not tell their spouse, or they could be disrespectful in public and say that their wives are insecure. I had not grown up with that. Yes, I've seen couples fight. Yes, I've seen couples argue in public. I have seen that. But the
Mhm.
problem is that that's not a healthy thing to do, and that's not the right thing to do. The right thing to do is that if we have a disagreement, let's show us doing the work. Let's show the counseling sessions. Let's show us doing the projects together where it builds our relationship and our trust. That's
Mhm.
why I like the couples therapy show, not MTV's, but WeTV's couples therapy show, because
Mhm.
those are actual doctors who are trained for these individuals.
Yeah.
Carlos does not have that. So this is why I'm mad at him for even putting this out there. And this is your city, and this is how you represent it. This is what you want. Okay.
If I ever was to do anything for the Bay Area or the city of Oakland, shout out to the town. Like, even though, and I use Oakland because where I'm from is, especially now today, is always a struggle with crime and just negative stereotypes per se that are actually happening in real time. I would choose to highlight people who are trying to overcome those things in ways that make sense. So, um,
Overcome those things, but also build back and also trying to make sure the community gets built back. Because I'm gonna tell y'all, Oakland to me, even when I go there today, is still probably one of the most beautiful sceneries I've ever seen in my life.
oh yeah.
And the fact that even though we let the world's economy and lifestyles and things of that sort detour us from having regular lives, is still one of the most beautiful places that I've seen.
Mhm.
And I don't want someone to look at it in a negative way, but
Mhm.
also I don't want the people from that place to then paint the picture that, oh, well, all black men are this way because they're not. I've
Yeah.
seen some of the most gifted, respectful, most probably enduring black men have beautiful families and
Mhm.
still are thinking of their wives first.
And that's
So
the thing, a lot of shows don't do that. That's
they
why I
don't.
say if
And
I
it's
was to ever do a show of our city, we're gonna show the good, but also you have to show the good with the bad in a way that makes sense and correlates. So Carlos King overall just does he needs help. He needs to confer with other people. And I hope that Own figures it out because hey, Oprah let go of Tyler Perry because Owen was stuck. You remember all them Tyler Perry shows that was on Oprah, and she let all of them go, including him. So no disrespect. It's like I want to support Carlos King, but I
I
think I
do
need
too
less
because he
of him.
speaks to, my lifestyle. He does, but in the same way, the way he moves, like I'm starting to notice a trend with Love and Marriage Huntsville, Love and Marriage Detroit. I can't really speak too much on DC, and I'm seeing Bell Collective. You're moving in a way where I feel like you're exploiting Black people in the most negative
Yes,
way,
yes.
versus showing what they could be. Like showing like one thing about Real Housewives of Potomac, yeah, those ladies may have their drama, but they all come with some high of society life.
Mhm.
So that's where I'm like, okay, where is that? Like, they ain't got to be the Jeffersons, but they could definitely, be the Huxtables at least, you know. So I'm just saying, and the image of the Huxtables that I have today, not what we see in the media today. Because say what you want, Claire Huxtable still was the shit. I don't care what nobody says,
Oh yeah,
and she
Queen
wouldn't
Huxtable's
dare,
a boss.
and she would not dare let Cliff do what Anthony did.
Nope. Yep. She spoke. She had a
She
voice.
spoke. She wasn't Dr. Minnie Mouse. She was and the original Aunt Viv even. She spoke up when needed to speak up. Dr. Minnie Mouse, I need you to speak up. I'm not gonna watch your show. I'm not gonna watch Detroit ever. I'm not gonna watch this. I'm done with this show.
Mhm.
But
And that's rare. I don't hear about reviewers like dropping shows like that.
Yeah.
So for those who are like, if you go Google TV recaps and stuff, most reviewers like will complain about certain shows, but we will still recap them. So
I've been trying to get her to
people
drop Summer
start,
House Martha's Vineyard for the first since the episode 4. She kept with it. That was her channel. I told her Love and Marriage Detroit. Look, I told her I cannot do this show.
Summer House is different though, because there's only one married couple, and the whole concept of that show is a little different than this one. So I'm like, I don't care for it. I think I'm gonna end up having to review season 2 because they just announced the season 2, and I'm like, oh god. And I had views on those videos, but I don't know.
I don't think I have anything on this, so I'm just gonna leave this here. This is Love and Marriage Detroit, our final review recap of this episode. If season 2 gets better and somebody reaches out and say, hey, I would like to review, I may reconsider it. But until then, I am absolutely done with the show. I appreciate you guys coming on this ride for the first 2 episodes. That was draining to get through. This episode was even more draining.
Episode 3.
And it's only episode 3, and I'm dropping it. So thank you guys so much for riding with me. If you want to see other content, I still do Belle Collective. I still do Real Housewives of Atlanta. I will be picking up Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, Real Housewives of Beverly. No, she'll be doing Beverly Hills. I won't.
Wait, there's another housewife though that you're taking.
Potomac. I'm taking Potomac.
Yes, Potomac. That's coming back before Beverly.
Yeah, that Beverly Hills is, I think, is coming back. Current is about to come back in a minute because they're doing all the reruns now. So I know when they do the reruns, that means
yeah, they're done filming.
Yeah, and I know Salt Lake City is coming back. Salt Lake City stopped wrapped in May. I believe they wrapped in May. I don't think they're still filming because I know it started in January. So I'll be doing Salt Lake City, and I'm only doing it for Mary Cosby because she needs justice. Love her. So I'm only going to do that.
It's justice.
I think I gave you Married to Medicine, didn't I?
Yeah.
Okay, Married to Medicine. We're going to do, I heard November is the date. So we're going to do Why Didn't the Spinoffs Work? I will be doing that on my channel. She's going to recap the last season.
I might have you do Married to Medicine though, and I'll do Beverly Hills if it comes back. Because
okay, I'll do Married to Medicine.
August we'll be starting Love and Hip Hop Miami.
So since she gave you Married to Medicine, and y'all are the first to hear it on this Love and Marriage Detroit, I will be taking over. I'm going to be recapping the last season of Married to Medicine. We'll do that actually next week. So I will replace that with this.
When's it come back on TV?
In I think November. I think they said November. But I'm gonna recap. And I'm going to talk about the spinoffs, why the spinoffs did not work. Because I have a great opinion about that. That I felt where they messed up. So we're going to be talking about that. I'm also going to do like a little game show, just to kind of fill in some time until Salt Lake City. So we'll do like a 30-minute video of game shows of what would you do in this situation. I'll go ahead and do that one. Maybe even throw a little MFK, Mary Fuck Kill. Why not? So
I love that game. So I love that you brought it up.
Yeah, so we're gonna be
good. I feel like after Atlanta ends, like once we get close to the finale, I feel like they're gonna announce. I think it's gonna be Salt Lake City or Beverly Hills or both.
No, they do, but they do the black shows against each other. So Potomac comes after Real Housewives of Atlanta. So we'll get Beverly Hills and Salt Lake City at the same time.
Oh, I know. That'll be fun.
Yeah, that'll be fun. And then Married to Medicine will probably come when Potomac is here. So I'm ready for all those shows to come back. So we'll just keep it at Bravo. I'm still going to do Belle Collective. I'm not going to do Ready to Love because someone had sent me a DM saying I can't do Ready to Love. No, I'm not doing Ready to Love.
Sorry. I had thought about it, but that's
absolutely not. Nope.
I don't have the patience to watch.
I don't have the time. I don't. For uncle, nephew, whatever his name is, the toxic dude. I ain't got time. Nope, not doing it. Let's see what else is coming out. If y'all think of a show, hit me up on my Instagram at It's Me James Jackson. Send me a DM. I try to go through the DMs. I have a few that do suggest shows to me since I put on my Instagram live. There have been people who reached out to say, "Hey, can you do the show? Can you do the show?" I will do my best. I need to watch them first. But we're taking too long. I don't want this video to be too long. Like, comment, and subscribe to both channels. Mrs. Best's information is in my description box. Subscribe to her channel. Subscribe to mine. We will be back for Real Housewives of Atlanta, guys. Until then, we will see you. Bye.
Bye-bye.